Good morning. We're starting with this morning's Chok Israel, Toledot liyom Revi'i, Toledot for Wednesday. We're going to start with this morning's Mussar. Mussar started as follows. Lefi shakini'a v'richuka ga'ava yadrich ha'adam liyahed kol ha'ma'asim l'Shem yitbarach yesh lever midat ha'kini'a. He says that subduing oneself, really we're going to get into the whole concept obviously of humility and knowing how much we really are valuable, but our value is very low compared obviously towards the value and the importance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he says because it is so important to know this concept of being humble and subduing oneself and not taking oneself to be so much, he says it's very important that we explain this concept. So he says what is kiniyah, the Hebrew word that we use? It is Vehu shiflut hanefesh ve'achna'otea umi'ut erka itzla. In other words, it's basic humility. It's the throwing of one's own being down, lowering oneself, understanding how little a human being is worth. Now, we're not coming from a depressive point of view. We're not coming from a discouraging point of view. We're coming from a point of view of not allowing oneself to become arrogant, haughty, and think all that of oneself. V'hi midat mimidot hanefesh hatova. The greatest, and as we'll see, as we've seen many times in Chok Israel, the foundation of all great character traits all stem from humility. And we know from the greatest Jew, whether you'd like to call it that way or not, that ever walked the place of this planet. No, it was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest. He was the one and only who was chosen to be the intermediate between God and the Jewish people. And what does the Torah say about him? What's the greatest thing about Moses is the fact that he was humble. And I'll repeat very briefly, the whole concept of being humble is when you're humble, when you, so to say, could have been arrogant on that. A person who is not a good sports player, when everyone rounds up and says, hey, come join the game, we need you. No. Be humble over there. No, that's not being humble. Because you obviously can't do it. Or come, give a speech, but you don't know how to speak. You stutter, you don't feel comfortable. No. That's not being humble. Being humble is doing what you're good at and not taking it in and becoming arrogant because of it. And thanking and understanding exactly that it's a gift from God and that you are fulfilling God's will with the God-given gifts and talents that you were given. That's what really being humble means. So let's let the Mussar speak for itself. V'yira'u ototeha al ha'evarim. And one who's humble, you'll see the signs of an individual being humble on their very body, on the limbs of their body. To start off, mehem halashon harach, one who has a soft tongue. Okay? Now, the difference between lashon harach and then kol namuch is different. Soft tongue means it's the type of words that you use.
Exactly.
Very good. And kol namuch is a low volume.
Don't insult people.
Don't use sharp words. Very good. Spicy words. However you want to. Yeah.
Sarcasm.
And very good. Sarcasm, all that. And kol namuch is speak low. One who's very arrogant and one who's haughty, they speak loud. They speak what's on their mind, whether it's appropriate or not, whether it makes someone feel good or not. And that's one thing. If you want to know who's humble, someone who doesn't speak too much, someone who speaks low, and someone who doesn't use sharp words. Okay?
And here's the important one.
Look at the next one. Umoshlo bitzro be'et hakas. That he is taking control of his inclination, his evil inclination, at the moments of his anger. As we mentioned, I believe it was 2 evenings ago. Ezu Gibor?
Very important.
Ezu Gibor Yaakov? Hakovesh et Yitzro. It's not the strong one. It's not the one who could pick up the most amount of weight. It's not the one who could punch the hardest. It's not the one who could kick the hardest. It's the one who's able to control themselves. They are kovesh et yitzro. And this means in every way. This means in bad character traits. It means in good character traits to overcome and to fulfill them. It means in guarding our eyes, as we speak about in the evening. It means all of those concepts. That's what a real strong person is. A strong person is a person who's able to control their humanistic, materialistic, even animalistic aspects of their life and control them the way the Torah and the way God demands it of us. Now the next one, umiut hanekama hara yicholet, and withholding the concept of paying someone back. Yeah, revenge. You did something to me, I'll do it back to you. It is a natural human, very good. It's a very natural human concept.
You want to retaliate.
Okay, we'll make it a little quieter, sorry. It's a natural human instinct to, if you slap me, I'll slap you. Well, you deserve it. You did it to me. You deserve it back. However, we know that the Torah tells us that it is completely prohibited, nikima and netira, whether it's by our physical actions or even if it's just by the way we think or feel about the person. Okay? Meaning, it could be actively hitting someone after they hit you, or insulting someone after they insult you, or not doing something for them. They come and they say, oh, can I borrow this? Well, you say no, because you didn't lend me that yesterday. All of that is included in the concept of revenge. And therefore, a real humble person knows, how does it have to connect with humility? Besides for the obvious, Yaakov, of Kovesh et Yitzro, besides for the obvious of that, one understands that if one is humble, they have unwavering faith with God. Which means, if one is humble, they have unwavering faith with God. And what that means is that anything and everything that happens to the person is the will of God. If a person slapped you, if a person double-crossed you, if a person hurt you, if a person threw a bad word at you, a person who has unwavering faith and belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and trust that everything happened is obviously in line with His will, then you have no reason to be angry at someone else, we spoke about that, or feel the need to take revenge on somebody. And that's why, another reason obviously why it's connected over here. Ve'ikara v'soda, the main point, the focus and the foundation of kinya, of this concept of humility, hi keneged habore. And what does that mean? That means the main concept. Of course you need to be humble and mushpal, as he said, subdued in front of others. But the only way that a person can really be humble and in a proper and healthy way is only towards God. Understanding the difference between God and us. Every human being is created in His image. We all have equal potential. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave some of us certain talents and others less, but everyone has something that they can do greater than anyone else. Everyone has something special. So on a normal basis, all human beings are equivalent, or at least we'll say, at least all Jews in this concept, in our context, have all equal start. We all are created in the image of God. But the greatest understanding of what it means to be humble and subduing oneself is klape, towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what the Mussar is telling us. It's not like something where you're on humility and off humility. That's not a real someone. It's all the time. We call it a humble person. Nivze be'inav tsanua, one who allows himself to be disgraced, be disrespected. We're not talking about, it's a very fine line between taking advantage versus piping up. We're not going to get into that now. It's obviously a longer conversation. But in general, if there's not going to be too much of a loss of you just being quiet in a situation, it's worth much more. Tsanua, being dignified. Daka, shval ruach, having a low spirit, again, not in a depressing manner, but again in a humble manner. Ruach nishparas, very similar concept. Nidke, racha levav, neche ruach are all synonyms that we see very often in Tehillim. I guess that's probably where he's getting them from. all synonyms in Tehillim that all refer to someone who is humble. Udvarim, now he's going to tell us something amazing. He's going to give us 3 examples of when a person is going to enter those situations. Obviously, it's going to help them, if they realize what's going on and what God's doing to them, help them become more humble. So look at this. Udvarim yesh yithayev bahem hakeniya la'adam neged Hashem. There are going to be certain things where if you do not start acting humble, well, you're going straight out against God. And if you do start acting humble, well, you're taking the message of God in its best form. Number 1, Hayhad kishayhelash koho mitenuotav mipnei holaim umzagim ra'im v'chulshat ha'arkava yikana az labore shehu rofeh hinam v'chlimeo v'yirepeu. When a person has a sickness, when a person feels weak, we understand that we need to do our hishtadlut. We need to do our efforts to go to a doctor, diagnose, hospital, yes surgery, no surgery, yes medication, no medication. We need to do our efforts. But a person has to know. No, not really. No. Who's the Rofeh Hinam? Hashem. Right, well, everything I just mentioned, not. So, everything that a person does, we need to do our efforts. We need to put in our hishtadlut. However, if we understand that the address, we need to pass through the helpers as well. But the address and the one of only address and also the deliverance, the salvation, all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the Rofeh Hinam. Rofeh Hinam, yeah, there's not going to be a bill after. There might be. The truth is there might be. That means that a person gets these hardships and there's maybe even these sicknesses and these challenges, and then they realize what's going on, and then they either become more humble or they commit themselves more to Torah, more to God, and that would be, so to say, repaying it and making it better than that. Repaying yourself. You're not repaying God. You're making it all worth it. Making a challenge worth it is extremely important. So this is the first concept. When a person's in a struggle, when the person's in pain, weak, that's one way where you can capitalize on that moment and add towards your humility. Good? Number 2. Hasheni, כשמצאהו פגע מאויביו ומקרוביו, או ירד מנכסיו וכיוצא בו, ויצטרך לבריות ייכנע לפני השם, ויצעק אליו וישמע קולו. He says, when a person is going to have a riffraff with a family member, with a friend, with a business partner, lo alenu, even financially being affected. Again, that is another opportunity, obviously, to understand it's coming from God, and it's humbling. It's humbling. Someone who's built a massive company, a very profitable organization, company, whatever it is, they feel like they're at the top. Look what I did. Look how smart I am. Look how strong I am. Look how I know how to manage people. Look how I know how to come up with a concept which no one else thought of, or even if others did, I'm killing it, I'm making it. Look at this. It gets to a person's head. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to shake the guy up a little. Hey, remember where it comes from. I gave you those talents. I'm happy you're using them. Use them for the good. However, don't inflate yourself too much. As everyone knows, every balloon can be inflated.
To get another loan, just wake up. Because the loan going to get you even worse.
No, I don't think so. It could be, maybe. Yeah, it could be. Any type of loss. Yes, any type of loss. Loss of a relationship, losses of a person, a fight. Loss of financial, yes, it could be. Again, everyone understands that a balloon can be inflated, and we could always add air. But if you put too much air, the balloon pops. And that's the same thing with, it's the balance between confidence and arrogance. Okay, inflate your balloon enough that you can stay afloat, but don't inflate it too much that you will pop out of your arrogance.
I think the maasim will get you inflate the balloon. If you do.
But if a person comes and they learn Torah and they read about this and they think about this and they set a good example for their employees, for their children, for their friends, that's a good way to keep one as humble as possible. Okay, moving on to number 3. Hasherishi. So the first one was sickness or pain, or no, really sickness or suffer. No, what was the word? Sorry. No, it's or weakness. Either sickness or weakness. The second was more struggles. Okay? The third is a completely different concept. Those two are very similar. Look at the third.
I like the third.
השלישי, כשיחשוב כמה חוות עליו מהטובות שעשה עמו בוראו, והוא הולך עמו בקרי ובמרי, ייכנע ויפחד מעונשו ושב רפאלו, כמו שנאמר באחיו, הראית כי נכנע אחיו. When a person forgets the gratitude that we all owe to God for our very birth, our upbringing, our education, our successes, all of that goodness. When a person that we're Chazaku Baruch, thank you for interrupting me, for that we don't deserve, as we said in Shacharit, in Amidah, in every Amidah, Ata Honen Le'adam Dat. The terminology of Honen, Hanina, is an undeserving gift. We're thanking God for the undeserving gift of knowledge, and in this context, the undeserving gift of life, of health, of happiness, of success, of wealth. We thank God for all that. As soon as we forget where our gratitude is owed, boom, Hashem will shake us up. Or, what he's saying over here is, just by coming and thinking about how much we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that will add towards our humility. This is an amazing concept. We're going to cut it short now. We're going to move on to the Halacha. But we got the major points the Mussar is speaking about. The Rambam, speaking about the halachot of Lashon Hara. Hamragel b'havero, one who's a peddler. Again, we like to, the common translation for liragel is a peddler. I'll explain us, since we're starting the laws of Lashon Hara, I'll just give us a quick intro, very much from the Hafetz Chaim, who was the master of the modern, I'd put it this way, the modern master of Lashon Hara. He took the major works of the Rishonim, and in Talmud, and he put it all together to bring us practical halachot and chizuk for Lashon Hara. So the Rambam wrote on Hilchot Lashon Hara, Rabbeinu Yonah wrote on Hilchot Lashon Hara, the Sefer Chinuch. There's a couple, not all, but there's a couple of the Rishonim which wrote a substantial amount on Lashon Hara. The Rambam is definitely one of the major sources. And a peddler is as follows. Back in the day, now how do many do business? Online, okay? Back in the day, the way people did business was more like carts and trucks. Everyone used to come to the marketplace, and what you do is, let's say you go to a food court, or you go to a marketplace where they sell fruits and vegetables, and you come with your cart, and you'd go from station to station, and you only sold tomatoes. You want to buy tomatoes? Next one, tomatoes, and then another guy would be coming with cucumbers, and every person would come with a different ingredient or a couple ingredients, and that was traditionally called a peddler. Because what did he do? He went around to each and every one, and he had a conversation, and he had even a possible transaction. That's what happened. A peddler in the Lashon of the Rambam and the Rishonim, when it comes to Lashon Hara, is a guy who goes around and speaks to everybody. He's a yente, as we say in Arabic, right? Okay? You go to this one and you talk. And you get a little more juice. And you let some juice go here, and you take some more. And boom, and boom, and boom, and boom, and boom. And each conversation gets more interesting. And the fire and the gas is flourishing and doing better and better and better. By affecting other people, obviously in a negative way. So that's what a meragel is. That's what a peddler is. A peddler is borrowed from the term of the business transactions that used to be taking place. And he goes around and he's talking ding, 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 ding. And go, and he's adding and hurting. Okay? Shene'emar, so hameragel b'chavero over belo ta'aseh, goes against a clear out transgression in the Torah. Shene'emar lo telech rachil be'amecha. Rachil, why is the Torah using the lashon of rachil? Rechilut, very good. He's going around and he's slandering about others. Okay, lo telech. It's not like if a person's waiting for it, it's also, but it's even if you go out and you're talking and you're wheeling and dealing in Lashon Hara, chas v'shalom. Okay. Ve'af al pi she'en lokin al dvar zeh, Betin would not warrant lashes for Lashon Hara, because again, how could they know? Who knows what's true? Who knows what's not true? Who knows who said it? Who knows how said it? It's only Bedin Shel Mala. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can decide that. And therefore, by the way, back in the day, God did intervene and did judge in this world on cases of Lashon Hara, and that was the whole concept of a negat tzarat, leprosy. So Beit Din would not even get involved in the whole concept of Lashon Hara because it was too hard to decipher and extrapolate who is chayav and who's not. However, God, in the time of the Kohanim, in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, He would show His deen on Lashon Hara.
Well, you said
Avon Gadol.
Lashon Hara, you empower that person.
We're gonna
Lashon Hara.
let's see. We're gonna see it at the end. Chazak at the end. Avon Gadol hu vegorem la'arog nefashot rabot miYisrael. It's a horrible sin, and it causes many people to die. At the end, he's going to get to it. Lekach nismach lo velo ta'amod al dam re'echa. In the same psukim, the same area that it says lo talech rachil v'amecha, don't have a peddler go and lashon all around. You shouldn't stand on the blood of your fellow, meaning don't stand over your fellow at his death. Either help him, don't kill him, don't cause him to die, or if he's already dead, bury him. Meaning, don't stand over your fellow and actively kill him. Okay? Tse ulmad ma'ira lidoeg ha'adomi, as doeg ha'adomi, by cursing David HaMelech, what happened to him and speaking slander about David HaMelech, how he was punished. Bet. Ezohu rachil. What's a peddler? זה שטוען דברים והולך מזה לזה ואומר כך אמר פלוני וכך וכך שמעתי על פלוני. So the guy's going around exactly as we explained in the introduction. He goes and he says, Avi, Yaakov told me this and this and this about you. And by the way, you want to know this and this and this about him. Oh, Meir, you want to know something about Avi? You want to know something about Yaakov? Let me tell you. Joel, I'll tell you about this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. Okay?
Nothing to do with
I
the
don't listen to
truth.
Lashon.
Whoa, we're going to see. Wait. Hold in suspense.
No, even if it's true or not, nothing to do with it.
Yes. Well, hold in. He's going to say it right now. Af al pi, you look, אתה מכוון. Af al pi shehu emet. Even if it is truth. You're saying something true. You are actively destroying the world. Yesh avon gadol mizeh. There's something which is even worse. Ad meod, vehu bichlal lav zeh vehu lashon hara, vehu amsaper bignut havero. Af al pi she'amar emet. So there's the rachil, which is the yapper.
אפילו לא גנות, רק מספר.
Exactly.
No good.
Then,
No good.
well,
Even just talk no good.
he's there. Then you have the lashon hara, which now you're going and speaking something derogatory about a fellow. And then there's the third, aval omer sheker, someone who says something false, not true. Nikra motzi shem ra al havero, when you are now saying something bad about another fellow, which is not true.
So there's level of the word.
There's three. There's rachil, there's lashon hara, and then there's motzi shem
all
ra.
of them are no good.
All of them are prohibited, all are not good. It gets worse as you progress. However, all are completely prohibited. Aval ba'al lashon hara, ze sheyoshev. These were rachil, one who speaks lashon hara, and one who speaks motzi shem ra. So far the Rambam, and this is definitely the way the Chafetz Chaim learns it, was a one-time offender. Then there's something which is even worse. And this is someone who's called a Baal Lashon Hara. Baal comes from the word husband, right? Really husband, right? You are a Baal to your wife, okay? When a person, when one, not really, but what he's doing is you're attaching yourself to Lashon Hara, to the point where that now, listen to this, becomes your identity. You are identified as a Baal Lashon Hara. It's not because you're a one-time offender, it's because you are repeatedly speaking Lashon Hara and going and speaking. Aval Baal Lashon Hara, ze sheoshev ve'omer kach v'kach asa ploni v'kach yo'avota v'kach v'yach shamati alav v'amar dvarim shel gnai, and he's going and he's not stopping. Al ze amar ha'katuv, yachret Hashem Kol siftei halakot lashon medaberet gedolot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come personally and cut down this guy's tongue. He will stop it. He will do it in any way, whether it's physically, spiritually, materialistically. Hashem will take care of this guy. Hashem knows how to take care of everybody. Hashem has an accounting. Gimel. I want to continue because we need to have time for...
Be careful, guys.
Amru chachamim.
Take care of somebody over here.
Amru chachamim. Our sages taught us, Shalosh avrot nifra'in min adam ba'olam hazeh. There are three major sins that a person commits, chas v'shalom, in this world. Even in this world, they will be paid back for it. Wow. Not only in the next world, but also in this world. Number one, nifra'in min adam ba'olam hazeh, ve'en lo chelek la'olam haba. Okay? This is en lo chelek la'olam haba. Number one, avodah zarah. Number two, Gilui Arayot. Number three, Shvichut Damim. That means the three cardinal sins, as we always mention. That is adultery, idolatry, and murder. These are the 3 cardinal sins. Now he says, Lashon Hara
Keneged kulam.
Keneged kulam.
Which is a little bit.
Which
it's a little bit focused, but Shvichut Damim is Lashon Hara basically.
That's not what he says. I want to say what the Rambam says, and the Rambam is quoting the Talmud. Talmud in Masechet Sotah says the same concept. These 3 were the cause for the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, and Lashon Hara was the main cause, along with Sinat Chinam, obviously, was the reason for the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash. And they say, look, 3 and 1. So these 3 are really, really serious. This one must be really, really serious as well. Okay, wait. We'll take questions. So there's a lot to talk about. Ve'od amru chachamim. Kol hamesaper lashon hara kilu kofer ba'ikar. Anybody who speaks slander and derogatory about someone else, even if it's true, it's as if they are going against God and the basic beliefs that we have from God. Shneimar, asher amru lilshonenu nagbir, sifatenu itanu mi adonanu. We learn from David HaMelech. David HaMelech says, someone who raises his tongue. Raising one's tongue, again, out of arrogance. Is imagine like you inflate your tongue so your tongue could speak whatever you want about whoever you want. And then what happens? The person who's going to do that, he's going to get to the stage of Mi Adonanu. You could speak about him and him and him and him and him and him and her and her and her and her and her. And they are all created in the image of God. Eventually you'll be speaking about the one who created those. You can speak about everybody, and then you'll speak about them. It's as if, I'm only going to speak Lashon Hara about the degraded people. I'll only speak Lashon Hara about evil people. And then, in the Chavetz Chaim, even though it's not Asur, but the Chavetz Chaim says, I'm only going to speak Lashon Hara about Goyim. You get too used about that? You'll speak about people who are wicked. You'll speak about people who are a little better. You'll speak about your elders. You'll speak about your parents. You'll speak about your rabbis. You'll get to speaking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's going to become your habit, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow, only for one's own detriment. Now, the last thing Chachamim tell us, the Rambam brings us, Ve'od amru Chachamim, Shlosha Lashon Hara Horeget. Lashon Hara kills or damages, however you want to learn that. 3 people. Number 1, Ha'omro, the one who says it. Number 2, Hamkabelo, the one who hears it. Receive. I'll get to that in a moment. The one who receives it. And the 3rd is poor guy, Veze Shneimar Alav. So I tell Sammy something about Yaakov. All 3 of us are punished on that account. I'll explain exactly. We'll go to each one. However, V'amkabelo yoter min ha'omro. So I tell something nasty about Yaakov to Sammy, and all 3 of us are punished. However, Sammy gets the biggest boo-boo. It's okay. Can you let me explain? Okay. So obviously, if we put into category who's the worst punishment warranted for, so I'll explain why. It is the listener, and then after the listener, it's the talker, and after the talker, it is the subject that we're speaking about. So let's explain why. Okay. In life, as human beings, we have stuff on our head. It sometimes is natural for us to just spit out what's on our minds, which is not right, but it's more of a natural feeling. As a listener, if you are now lending your ear to listen to someone speak something nasty about someone else, and you're not stopping would either actively stop, walk away, change the topic. Depending on the relationship you have with that person, sometimes you could be a little fierce about it. Sometimes you need to diplomatically change the topic in order, again, it always depends who's talking and how's talking and what's happening. But either way, since you were a bystander, okay? Since you were a bystander, you now become that listener, not only listener, the acceptor. The Rambam doesn't say the shom'o, the one who listened to it, it's hamkabelo. There's a big difference between listening and accepting. And I want to get back to that in a moment. Please remind me to get back to that. The next is the speaker. Obviously, he's the one who initiated. Now, the subject is the 3rd, but also punished. The 3rd in the level, but also punished. Why? Because this is a concept. We always have to make ourselves act in a way that people won't talk about us. Yes. Listen, we have to do things that do not. Let me explain. Gentlemen, please. Gentlemen, please. Okay, let me explain. We have to act in a way that does not arouse questions and doubts amongst others. Meaning, depending on who you are and what you do and where you are, there are certain things you're not supposed to do, eat, go to, be seen at, say, wear. I'm just thinking of different examples of it depends who you are and what you do and how people will look at you in order to not have people start to question. And what happens is when a person does something which leads others to think something bad about them, even though they might be in the right, a person, Chachamim tell us, a person always has to be very careful to, no matter what he does, even if he has to do something which is seemingly wrong, which could be interpreted either for the positive or for the negative, go out of their way to be as explicit as possible and clear as possible to the audience, whether it's at the moment or afterwards, if they need to catch up on it, to cover themselves and not allow others to think about them. Again, God created human beings, and human beings judge. Human beings think. We cannot control what others will judge us on and think about us. But we need to do our utmost to give them the easiest scenario to look at to judge us favorably. Okay. It's a very, very deep concept. I really don't want to get into it. One second. Let me just explain one last moment what it means mikabelo. We'll turn off the camera and I'll take one question and we have to move on to the Gemara. The Rambam says that it's the one who receives, who accepts the shmuah, the talking. It doesn't say the hearer, the listener. He says the one who accepted it. And I'll tell us a trick in life now. Which I learned from my Rav. My Rav told me that in life, you are sometimes going to have to listen to someone else pour out their heart. And most often in our cases, the wives. Very good. You're going to have to listen to your wife sometimes. Is it right? Is it wrong? Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes you have someone that you need to listen to. So what happens? As a rabbi, as a counselor, as a friend, sometimes you have to hear stuff. So now this is very hard and it takes a lot of training, a lot of hard work, but what we have to train ourselves to do, not to allow ourselves for that yeshiva, for that sitting and okay, pack it in, no. But if something already slipped, or if it's in a situation where you really can't get yourself out of, listen but don't accept. What does that mean? Rabbi, how could I listen and not accept? He told me he stole from him. How could I not accept that? So listen to this, very good, listen to this. You say like this, that the way Hezi is telling me the story happened with so-and-so is the way you lived through that situation and interpreted it. And I respect you for that interpretation, but I cannot take that as truth. Why? There's always three sides to every story. Your side, his side, and the truth. You have to. Again, you can't tell her this when she's pouring out. But one day, when she's not pouring her heart out, when she's not speaking about someone else, teach her the concept. Teach her of the difference between listening and accepting. You'll do her a great service because when she speaks with her friends, also, sometimes things slip. There's a difference between listening and a difference between accepting. Sometimes a person is allowed to, don't get too used to this, but to listen to someone else's frustration and derogatory remarks about someone else, but don't accept it to be true. The time that the mikabelo is punished and he's now over on the lav, he has the transgression, is when he accepts it. And this is clear from the Rambam, Chavetz Chaim, and all of our sages. B'ezrat Hashem. Question.